What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this really quick conversation about the show Dancing Queens. So, I had every intention of reviewing Dancing Queens episode by episode, but I had just way too much on my plate. And so, before I knew it, I had missed several episodes, but I was able to binge watch the whole entire season recently. And so, I watched all of season one, and now I want to talk about it. So, Dancing Queens, it was this dance competition show that came on Bravo. And for the most part, overall, I did like it. And if season two comes back, I'm definitely going to watch season two as well. So I did enjoy the show. I enjoyed it a lot. I like anything with like competitiveness for some reason. I really enjoy watching shows, documentaries, whatever, where someone or a group of people are entering a competition and you're watching how they are preparing themselves for that particular competition. So that's why I gravitated towards Dancing Queens. So I enjoyed the cast for the most part. Of course, there was, some people that I didn't care too much for, but for the most part, I enjoyed the cast. I liked how we got to see their competitive side, and I liked how we got to see their more private side. We got to meet their family members. We got to see how they interact when they were not competing, etc. We got to know them as people, right? I also enjoyed the dance scenes. I really enjoyed the dance scenes. I thought all of the women were extremely talented. All of them did too, as far as I'm concerned. They all did really well as far as their dancing goes. But I do wish that we were able to see them more like dancing individually with their partners. In other words, during the competitions, everybody would be on the dance floor. So you'd have like, I don't know how many couples on the dance floor, all dancing, running into one another. So to me, it was really messy and sloppy, but I understand that that's got nothing to do with Bravo, that's just how it is with ballroom competition on this level. So, it was nothing that anybody could control, but to me, it was kind of sloppy, especially when they would start bumping into one another. And then obviously the cameras would focus on the cast members, but sometimes it was kind of hard to keep up with who's who, where am I supposed to look at? Who am I looking at? Who is this now? And I think that if it would have been done where each team had a chance to dance alone on the dancing stage, then I would have been able to compare better how they all did against one another. But because everybody was all jumbled up, it was hard for me to really compare like their skill level, their techniques, their style, because everything was all jumbled up. But like I said, it's got nothing to do with Bravo. That's just how it is with this type of ballroom dancing competition. So now when it comes to the individual cast members, I'm going to start off with Sabrina, the dancing witch. I did not like Sabrina. I did not like her attitude. I thought she was selfish. I thought she was self-centered. I thought that she was very egotistical. She had a very she had a very strong competitive streak in her, but it wasn't even like that friendly type of competitiveness. She was a mean competitor. She was the type of competitor that when she placed first, she rubbed it in everybody's face. She constantly would talk about it, joke about it. She would not let anybody forget that she had placed first. But when someone else placed first, she thought she wasn't a gracious loser, not necessarily a loser because you don't lose, but she wasn't gracious to whoever placed above her. She was mean about it. And so that's why I thought her whole attitude was just nasty all the way around. I didn't like how she placed her own needs above the needs of her children, because she had a daughter that was in gymnastics. And a lot of the times her daughter's gymnastics competitions would coincide with hers, and she would always choose to go on her own competitions. Now, I understand that she loves to dance. It's her passion. It's a way for her to escape, etc. But at the same time, I just can't imagine how you would sacrifice being there for your daughter's competition, you as the mother, to go dance at your own competition. It just, to me, I was just like, that didn't make any sense to me at all. I felt like she should have given up her own to be there for her daughter, because she can always, enter the dancing competition thing. That's always going to be there. She can always do that. But your daughter's going to have this one competition, this one time in her life, and she's always going to remember that you were not there because you chose to go do your own thing. Now, maybe she thinks to herself that she's teaching her daughter to follow your own dreams and do your own thing and do what makes you happy no matter what. But I think that if the daughter had a choice, she would rather her mother be there than not be there. And then there was a scene where she was FaceTiming her daughter before her daughter entered her own gymnastics competition. So they were FaceTiming each other. And after they got done talking, Sabrina made a comment that she didn't like how whoever was in charge to do her daughter's hair didn't do it right. So she complained about how her daughter's hair looked. And I'm thinking to myself, you're not there. You were the one that was supposed to be there to do your daughter's hair, but you chose not to be there. You chose to go do your own thing, which is fine. Your family is understanding. Your family is very gracious about it, and they're very supportive of you chasing your own dreams. But if someone else is going to step up and do your role and play your part to fix your daughter's hair and to get her ready for her own gymnastics competition, how dare you complain about that? Like, who the hell do you think you are? Why would you complain about something like that? It didn't matter if the child's hair looked like a rat's nest. The fact is that someone else stepped up to do something that you were supposed to do to begin with. But I digress. And her dancing style, didn't care for it, even though she was always winning the competitions and, she was a force to be reckoned with. I did not care for her dancing style at all. It was just too much. Her facial expressions, her movements, all animalistic, and like she's prowling around like a tiger in the jungle or something. I didn't care for it at all. And I know that you got to do what you got to do to get the judges' attentions, because there's a million people on the dance floor. I understand that she was trying to get their attention, but it was just too much. And then she would huff and puff and make these guttural noises in her throat. It was just too much, and it made me really uncomfortable. And to me, it was so cringy to watch her dance. Some people like that style, okay, when you're all cat-like and animalistic. I didn't care for it. I'd rather watch someone like Leonie, who was a little bit more graceful. I'd rather watch someone like Donnie, who had a lot of technique and experience. Watching Sabrina dance was cringe TV for me. So when she would place first, I would get so angry because I was always rooting for somebody else. And then when Leonie jumped in and joined the competition, I was so happy when Leonie took that first place prize instead of Sabrina. But I just crashed. I instantly crashed in that final competition when Sabrina beat Leonie, but whatever. So Sabrina, didn't care for her. I thought that she had a nasty disposition, nasty attitude. She was not a good competitor at all. She didn't want anyone else to win. She always wanted to be number one, and which of course everybody wants to be number one, but you don't have to be nasty about it. She would purposely say things before competitions, and it wasn't just her. Gaye did it too, but she would purposely say things to other people to get into their heads, to make them feel some kind of way. I don't know if it was Sabrina that had approached Colette in that first competition where Colette did not place at all. I don't know if it was Sabrina that walked up to her and she was like, Colette, you didn't even place. And Colette was like, get away from me. I already know that. Don't talk to me. So I don't know if it was Sabrina that did that, but it was a very Sabrina-like thing to do. So forgive me if it wasn't Sabrina that said that to her. So yeah, I didn't care for her. Moving on to Leonie. In the beginning, I really didn't care for Leonie either. I thought Leonie was a little bit too, it took me a while to adjust to Leonie and her ways. But initially I thought she was very snobby. I thought she came off like, very, I'm better than everybody else, and I'm very like I'm cultured, I'm educated, I'm sophisticated, above all this, just very like her nose in the air, snobby. I don't know if she thought she was Princess Di or who she thought she was, but I didn't care for her in the beginning. And when she told her husband something like, would you rather pay for my dancing or pay for my therapy? I thought that was kind of funny. And she had an issue with struggling with perfectionism. She grew up in a household where her father expected her to be perfect in every way. And if she was less than that, her father didn't want nothing to do with her. If she, I guess, came home with less than perfect grades, I don't know what extracurricular activities she was involved in when she was younger, but if she was less than perfect in that, her dad had nothing to do with her. Her dad would just shun her away. If she was less than perfect. And so this has spilled into her adulthood, and as it spilled into her dancing, because when she was rehearsing with her partner, if the step wasn't absolutely 1,000% perfect, she wanted to do it over and over and over again until her partner was like, hey, Sabrina, no one is going to notice if you did a half turn instead of a 3/4 turn. No one's going to notice. Okay, we need to move on. But she was an extreme perfectionist, and that was her downfall, was the fact that she was constantly in her head, overthinking, overanalyzing every little thing, and it got in the way of her doing well, of her excelling in certain competitions. So, but at the end, when she joined the other ladies, because in the beginning she was doing these competitions without the other cast members, then she joined the competitions that everybody else was involved in, and then once she joined everybody else, that's when I began to like her more. She wasn't as snobby anymore to me. Maybe because she was around Sabrina, and anybody compared to Sabrina I was gonna like. But yeah, I thought that when she got with the other ladies, she was a little bit more down to earth. She was a lot more funny. She was a lot more human when she was around the other cast members. So I ended up liking her at the end, and I really wanted her to win that final competition in Texas. And I was so upset when she placed third, because watching Leonie dance, it's a sight to see. She's a beautiful, beautiful dancer, because she's got the height, she's got the body shape. She's very slender, so her movements were just very fluid and just very beautiful. It was beautiful to watch her dance. Then we move on to Donnie. Now, Donnie had the technique. She was an experienced dancer because she had been dancing her whole entire life. So she was a technical dancer, trained dancer, and she never understood why she could never place higher than 5th or 6th. And she thinks, and her partner reiterated to her, that it was because of her weight, that because she was a little bit heavier than the other women, that was working against her, which is really sad, because she could dance. Donnie could dance, and she had the look, as far as I'm concerned. She was very striking with her, her really short platinum blonde hair. She had the look. I mean, like, if I was on the sidelines as a judge, my eyes would instantly be drawn to her, because she doesn't have the typical, what they call a competitive Latin dance body. She didn't have that, but she definitely had the technique. So it was really frustrating to see how much she practiced, how much she put into it, but never got the results that she wanted because of her body type. I was going to say something else about Donnie. Oh, there was another dancer who wasn't featured on the show, but just another competitive dancer on the scene who was way heavier than Donnie. Well, she didn't place at all, but I'm just saying that Donnie was by far not the biggest person on that floor. And, in the real world, Donnie is not even, to me, I would not even consider her to be big or overweight or anything like that. Her body was, to me, very toned, athletic. If you can wear anything backless, you're good to go. So she looked great to me, but it was just sad that, the judges automatically wrote her off because she wasn't, super, super slender. Moving on to Colette. Now, Colette struggled with the fact that her partner, Christian, ended up ditching her to work with another cast member on the show. So Colette had a dance partner who was, his name was Christian, and there was another cast member by the name of Pooja, what we're going to talk about later. Another cast member by the name of Pooja. Pooja came in late into the Latin dance scene. She was ballroom dancing competitively in another category, but now she wanted to do Latin dancing. So now when she entered the Latin dance part, Christian immediately dropped Colette to go work with Pooja because he was already working with her mom and her sister in their age categories for Latin dance. So when Christian left Colette completely fell apart. Even Sabrina, the dancing witch, made a remark to Colette and said something like, "Oh, we can tell that you're kind of struggling with your new partner." Something about how, she just didn't flow as easily on the dance floor with her new partner. So she was constantly struggling to find chemistry with her partner where they could kind of mesh together as well as she did with Christian. And so, yeah, that was difficult for her to do. So she never placed first. She would place kind of high in some competitions, but because her partner left her, she couldn't get over that. And she took it so personally. It was almost like she took it like a boyfriend breaking up with her because she was constantly seeking some type of closure. It got to the point where she went to go visit Pooja, which was Christian's new protege, I guess you could say, or student. She even went to go visit Pooja to talk about it. It's like she was just doing a lot. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that Christian, it was easy for him to walk away from Colette because Pooja and her family were going to be offering him way more money to work with them. And so he had to go where the money was. That's my personal opinion. So Colette also had an autistic son, so we got to see a lot of scenes with her and her son interacting. I think her son was like either late teens or early 20s, I'm not quite sure, but he was autistic. And it was just her and her son, I guess, the father wasn't around, just her and her son. And so she was considering putting him in like an estate school where he can get the training and the skills that he needed to try to be a little bit more independent. And it was hard for her to let him go because of the fact that she's been his main caretaker, and, she babies him, spoils him, coddles him, but she knew enough that she wasn't doing what she really needed to do to get him to be independent, because she did everything for him. And so she understood that she had to like let him go to go with trained professionals who can help him be a little bit more independent. But it was nice to see the interactions between Colette and her son. Then we move on to Gaye. I don't have much to say about Gaye. Gaye, sometimes she would dance in the competition. Sometimes she wouldn't. She would just show up. We didn't really get to see much of her personal life or any of her personal life. So I don't have much to say about Gaye, but she was really good at getting into people's heads. She knew the things to say to Sabrina to mess with her head. Like, talking about her hair, when Sabrina was getting her hair done right before a competition, Gaye would make some little snide remarks about her hair, about her outfit. So that was really funny. So Gaye was good for comic relief. Then we move on to Pooja, who I ended up really liking and really rooting for. So Pooja was already in the ballroom dance competition scene, but she had never done Latin dancing. So because her mom and her sister were already doing Latin dancing and killing the game in their own categories, because each category in Latin dance is broken up by age group. So her sister and her mom were doing their thing already in Latin dance. And so now Pooja wanted to join in. And she struggled. She really struggled with Latin dance. And so she never really placed higher than 5th or 6th. And at the end of the day, she decided just to give it up and do her own thing and go back to the type of dance that she was used to, which was American contemporary or something. I don't know. So yeah, Pooja was interesting to watch. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see a lot of her because she came in at the tail end, and she did like 2 competitions. One competition she didn't place at all. And then the other competition, I think she placed like next to last. So she really struggled with Latin dancing. And then she realized, hey, this is just not my thing. I'm gonna go back and do my own thing. Her mom, her sisters are all doctors, but she's a makeup artist. So she was like, you know what? I've been doing my own thing my whole life anyway. So, it's not a big deal for me to let my sister and my mom have the Latin dancing, and I go on and do my own American contemporary dancing. Now, those dances were insane. I don't remember all the categories. I do remember that they had to do jive, the paso doble. They had to do, and I forgot the other one. Well, there was like 5 different and it was just crazy how they'd be dancing, one type of dance. For example, they'll be doing the Casa Doble, and then all of a sudden it has to switch to jive, and then you got to start doing the jive, and then it automatically switches to something else. And just to remember all the steps for each dance, and I think there were 5 categories of dance, and you had to do them back to back, back to back. I mean, it was exhausting to watch them. And like I said, I really do wish that we could have seen each team dance alone on the floor to really compare them to one another, but it wasn't like that. But it is what it is. So it was fine. I enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the season. If season 2 comes around, I'm definitely going to watch season 2. Hopefully all the ladies are back. We know if they're going to concentrate on Latin dancing, we know we're not going to see Pooja, unfortunately. But whatever it is, and whoever comes back is fine with me. I have a strong feeling that Sabrina is going to come back if they do a season 2, because she's very polarizing. Either you love her or you hate her, and that's what producers go for. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.